Good morning and welcome back to Morning at NTV. My name is Idris Matusegawa, and remember, you can be part of the conversation. Just look out for our social media platforms, that is Facebook, Twitter, and just look out for NTV Uganda or my name, Idris Matusegawa, and tell us your opinions. Now, we have come into that segment, Take Note, where we talk about issues that affect you who is at home. But are you still at home or are you in traffic jam? If you are still at home, please get up. You have to do something for yourself. And in studio, I have Adrian Bukenya, who is the country head, Mastercard Foundation. And we are going to talk about something that is quite important for the youth, getting young people ready for work. How can we do that? Good morning, Mr. Oken.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Looking sharp.
Thank you very much.
I like your specs.
Much appreciated.
Well, let's first talk about Mastercard. Who are you? What is your mandate? What is the mission?
It's actually the Mastercard Foundation. The Mastercard Foundation was came to pass when Mastercard Incorporated went to the stock market in 2006, and essentially one of the conditions of them going public and selling their shares was to give back to society.
Yeah.
So they formed the foundation with about 10% of their equity, and the mission of the foundation was to focus on developing opportunities for youth to get meaningful and fulfilling livelihoods in as they grow in their development. The focus areas for the foundation are the Native Americans in Canada, but primarily the 90% of the work we do is in Africa. We chose Africa because Africa is going to be the hub of the world's workforce in the near future.
Yeah.
And in Africa, majority of the population is youth. And given that that is the dynamic and the conditions around youth employment are relatively difficult, the foundation focuses on trying to create a situation where the ecosystem under which somebody who is looking for work can actually find meaningful and dignified opportunities.
Wow, brilliant. You've mentioned something really interesting, and if you don't know who is at home, Uganda has one of the youngest population in the world.
Indeed.
And you are saying as Mastercard Foundation that you have a strategy to help young people find work. What is that strategy and what does it involve? So
the strategy has got a few pillars of consideration. One, we began. Incidentally, Uganda is very important in the foundation strategy. Yeah. The first country where we began our operations in 2008 was Uganda, when we introduced the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship Program. So what we do is there's an educational space where we try and create a scholarship that will enable youth to get the right training and build up their skills and capabilities. So that scholarship program has now reached its 10th year. And then it's impacted a significant amount of people across the continent. The main focus, though, however, is for us to engage with the private sector and create circumstances where we have the youth getting access to finance or capital, getting access to the right markets, and also getting some business development opportunities to grow their capabilities as entrepreneurs. How we do this is we focus on particular sectors. The sectors that we're focusing on are agriculture, agro-business, micro, medium, and small enterprises, MSMEs, and the digital economy. Because anything you do in the world right now without a foundation of the digital economy, you're going to be missing the beat. We also have some other subsectors that we work with: tourism, construction, and education. Because you've got to create a skilled workforce in order for you to be able to deliver on the ambitious objectives that we have. Yes.
How is the strategy implemented here in Uganda?
So we work through partners. So we actually are deliberate about how we operate. We look for people who are working in that space and people who understand the local environment, and they can actually reach directly to the people that we're targeting. I forgot to mention that we actually focus on women in particular, because the girl child and women are a very key part of our society, and we want to make sure that opportunities are equitably provided to them. But we work through partners. So different people working in different sectors, we support them to make their systems robust enough, and then they in turn engage directly with the youth and deliver some of those outputs.
What are some of these partners that you are working with in Uganda?
In Uganda, the Young Africa Works strategy, which we launched in 2020, has currently engaged about 7, and we have actually expanded that to about 11 partners. We've got people like the Private Sector Foundation of Uganda. We've got the Innovation Village. We've got NSSF, who have a high innovator program, and Equity Bank. So those are some of the examples of the people who we are interacting with, and each of them has, they play in a different sector. Some in the MSME sector, some in the agriculture sector, etc. So what we do is we create programs that target the youth to try and get them to a situation where we can, first of all, understand how to enhance their capabilities in the field that they're doing. And secondly, is to try and create, especially in the access to market situation, is to aggregate a number of these opportunities, because you'll find that there's a small group of people in disparate dynamics who are doing similar things. However, they can't make ends meet because they're not big enough as an individual to move. So our strategy is to try and create aggregation dynamics that allow them to bring their work together, and then we create throughput and access to the markets thereafter. In addition, we create opportunities for them to build capabilities in running businesses, because at the end of the day, we're looking to ensure that they are sustainable. So whereas we can enter with interventions now for the next 5 years or so, it's important that as they develop, they're able to now self-sustain and grow themselves, and indeed they themselves become the employers of their colleagues, and it works in that kind of ecosystem.
You talked about financial support.
Yes.
Are you giving these young people money to invest in their small businesses?
Not quite. We are giving money to the program that is helping them develop their concepts and their ideas. We work with financial institutions to create more cost-effective financing. As I said, these solutions have to be sustainable. If you give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day. If you teach a man how to fish, then he will fish forever, and he'll be able to feed his community. Now, what we're doing is we're trying to teach them how to fish. So how do you work in an environment where you have to borrow money, you have to manage a business, you have to manage a balance sheet, etc. That's why we're working with those kind of financial institutions to create financial literacy, and also to enable them to learn how the business process and the cycle actually works. And then let them grow within the areas that they're focusing on, and focusing on the fact that we want it to be meaningful and dignified work. So we don't just create any kind of job. We want a job that they actually find fulfilling for their livelihoods.
And passionate about.
Passionate about, yes.
You know, in the strategy that you have explained, you've talked about something really important, teaching a man how to fish instead of just giving them fish. And we have seen so many programs that have been established by government where simply they are handing out money to young people. Are you working with the government to improve that system in a way? Because at the end of the day, you're trying to help young people and they're doing the same. Indeed,
we're aligning with the government policies. For example, the parish model, where they're trying to go directly to the users, all the way to the lowest part of the population. So we're integrating our policies to enable us to work within the ecosystem that we're working with. We cannot go and do things that are outside of the space that we operate in. So we understand and we collaborate with the government, hence the Private Sector Foundation, which is aligned with the government policies, gives us guidance as to how to interact with the prevailing policies. So it's important that we, first of all, also provide our feedback to the government about how those policies could maybe be enhanced in order for them to be more effective to deliver the outcomes that we're looking for the youth.
From the time that you've launched the strategy in Uganda, what has been the impact so far?
So the impact has been twofold. One, you've got to appreciate we launched in 2020. 2020, the pandemic happened. So in terms of direct impact to the population, we've had a slower start as a result of the fact that the youth couldn't even come out of their homes and interact. However, we've done a few things in that space. So far, in the 18 months that we've been active, I can say we've gotten just north of 40,000 youth into employment.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
And we've got our partners to help create systems and processes that will now become a lot more robust. And now that the economy is open, the youth are going to be able to access a number of those things. And then I think we'll have a proliferation of job opportunities and or entrepreneurial opportunities. So there's youth being able to be employed, and then there's also youth creating jobs within their space. We have a very lofty ambition. We anticipate that by 2030, we should have created about 3 million jobs in Uganda.
By 2030?
By 2030.
You have 8 years.
We have 8 years, yes. And we're moving in that direction. So we're going to enhance. We rolled out a new roadmap in which we reassessed some of the priorities we had, and we focused on two things. One, the aggregation I spoke about, where a lot of the efforts that you make, if you do that in aggregation, you create a better market opportunity for the youth. And therefore, if you build it, as they say, they will come. Now, the second part is the scaling of our projects.
Yeah.
How we target, the type of projects that we target are projects that can be scaled up. So it will start with maybe an incubated type process, but if we can then inject enough support that will now scale it into proliferating and creating a bigger impact, both by the number of people it is getting and geographically. So we're not focused on, say, the urban centers. We're focused on the entire country.
Even the rural.
In fact, primarily, we go where the youth are. So we have to go where the population is, and a majority of our population is actually not in the urban centers. So all our policies are designed to try and target the youth and give them a dynamic that, as I said, provides them with meaningful and dignified employment.
Where in the country, what some of the districts that your programs have been executed?
We've been in the west. We've got Hoima. We've got projects that are currently being developed for the Nebi and Arua space. We've got all through the central and southwest area, and of course in Bali and the like. So we've been spread across the entire country. Remember, we've just had 18 months of difficult access to the population, but our intention is to go into all the regions and make sure that the projects that we're doing are relevant, first of all, to the people who are engaging. So you don't want to provide a solution to somebody who doesn't find that to be the problem. So we make sure that when we do develop these projects, we actually engage the youth directly and ask them what is it that can make a difference, that you want, what are you good at doing, what would you like to do. And then we develop solutions around that. And of course, we also assess what resources do you have in this space, what can make sense. So we also encourage people to leverage what is around them. Again, critical is sustainability, because we're here for a finite period of time. We don't know what will happen after we've gone, but if we develop processes that do not need us once the programs are finished, then I think we're doing the right thing, and that's what we're focusing on doing.
So your target is not to be here forever?
No, we don't. The thing is, if I'm still here in 2030 talking about the same thing, then there's a challenge.
It's a problem.
Yes. So then we didn't do a good job. So our plan is, if in 2030 we have achieved those 3 million, if not 4.3 million jobs, we reimagine what we can do and maybe enhance the offers that we'll put at that time. But ideally, if we have achieved our target, we will now move with the flows, because the needs of the youth and the population at that point will probably be different.
They keep on evolving.
They keep on evolving.
So for the youth who's watching right now at home, how can I be part of these programs? Because what's my eligibility? Do I have to be educated, or can I just come and join the program?
So we work, as I said, through partners, and our target population is youth below the ages of 35.
Yeah.
If you go to our website, mastercardfdn.org, you'll look at the criteria that we use, and you'll see the kind of partners we have. If you have an idea, a proposal of what you think you can engage, we can engage through that platform. There's areas and opportunities for us to engage you and then see how we link you with the correct partner or develop you as a partner directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said you are aligning with the government.
Yes.
As a foundation. What advice would you give them? Because if you're not here in 2030, the government will still be here.
Yes.
What are some of those strategies, those meaningful foundations they need to adapt, probably from your strategy?
One, believe in the youth. That's one. Just a general principle of believe that they have the potential and they can actually do something and make a difference. Once you have that as your guiding principle, then the policies that are made, Uganda makes significantly good policies, enforce them in order for the opportunities for the youth to actually proliferate. Next thing is to avoid the mentality of handouts. That for me is the way that you will create an attitude, a mindset amongst your population that you have to have input, effort, and then you'll get the output. So if you do that, then it'll become a lot more sustainable. But I think they continue enhancing the policies that they have, believe in the youth, and encourage endeavor in that space.
Brilliant. For a time now, the young people have been struggling with finding what to do. And that time is a very experimental time. You said eligibility is below 35.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give a young person in discovering themselves?
Be open and willing to learn. We're in a very dynamic world right now where ideas that come from anybody could actually proliferate into something that is a significantly lucrative opportunity. The digital space is somewhere they need to focus on because the world is communicating in a different way. And if you can enhance your understanding of that space, it's something that will enhance how you operate anywhere you go, in agribusiness, in small and medium enterprises, creative industry, music, sports, film, everything. If you get yourself a good handle on that, then you'll give yourself a good chance. Be open to learn. Be respectful to the people who are your seniors because they've been through the dynamics that have set the stage for them now. So learn from those. Sometimes they're mistakes, sometimes they're good learnings that you can get. If you're respectful for that, then you leverage what has been done to now take control of the future. And then be bold.
True.
Be
Very
bold.
Indeed.
Yeah, be bold. Don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Because through those lessons, you will learn to become better.
You've operated mostly during the COVID-19 pandemic,
Yes.
lockdown, low access to these people.
Yeah.
What are some of the lessons that you've learned during this period and you're going to carry them over since now the economy is open and access is easier?
As I said, the world does not stop. So you've got to be able to find creative ways of linking with people. Technology is one of the biggest ways that we have to leverage. Even when the economy opens, we have to use technology to enhance our programs, which is why I said in my advice to the youth is get yourselves very familiar with handling and operating within that space. Because that for me was the difference maker in our ability to just keep going. Now, as the economy opens, we really need to go and engage directly with the different people because remember, access to this technology is one of the limiting factors, especially in Uganda. And therefore, one of those areas that we will focus is to create a situation where they can actually get access to these platforms, maybe the equipment, etc., learn how to use them and proliferate from that point.
What are some of the key achievements the Mastercard Foundation has gotten to globally?
I would say that, first of all, we've been able to launch in 7 African countries.
Oh, wow, amazing.
Our strategy has been to interact with local partners primarily. And in doing so, we have been able to understand the dynamics of each of the different countries that we operate within. In addition, we've been able to engage the policymakers in a very respectful way in order for us to understand how we can plug into the ecosystems that are there. So far, we are probably maybe 10% on the road. Our overall goal in Africa is to get to 30 million youth in meaningful and fulfilling employment. So we're close to about 3 to 4 million at the moment. And we hope that by halfway, we should have actually exceeded our expectation. So for now, we're moving in the right direction. One of the biggest interventions that the foundation has had is supporting the COVID relief program, especially in Uganda, proliferating vaccines within the continent.
Yeah.
We gave a significant amount of support to the Africa CDC to help mitigate the challenges that were coming from the COVID pandemic. And in doing so, if you have a healthy population, then you can actually start doing our projects. So we switched some of our priorities to make sure that the continent was able to ride the challenges of the pandemic. And that, I think, was one of the biggest learnings for the foundation. So we're going to stay in that space for a while, because you need to have a healthy and productive population to be able to effect the changes that we aspire to do.
You talk about challenges, and we've talked about COVID already, and the lockdown and the challenges that it posed for the foundation to access the youth. But also it could be a challenge convincing the youth to actually join the foundation. Has there been any challenges in getting them on board?
I would say accessing them would be the challenge that we need to overcome. I'll give you an example. And it's very different in the different parts of the continent. In Uganda, we're very strong within our cultural base. So if we don't engage people in a space where they're comfortable, you might miss the boat. So yes, we're focusing on engaging through the central government, but we're trying to learn and understand people's value systems, their cultural beliefs, and then try and craft opportunities to go through each of the cultural communities that are there. In that way, you'll be able to actually touch somebody where it matters to them. That's not the same in Kenya. That's not the same in Nigeria. It might be similar in Ghana. Culturally, we're very diverse. So creating one standard strategy to walk into the continent of Africa is something that we've learned not to focus on. And that's why the foundation strategy has been to appoint indigenous people of each of the countries that they're running to run their operations.
All right.
Yes.
As we conclude, what are some of the programs that we should expect in the next 8 years as you're here?
In the next 8 years, look out for all activities that are in the spaces of agro-business. We encourage the youth to not look at that space as not attractive. MSMEs, and as I said, we'll focus a lot on the digital economy. Yeah.
So how do I get to know about these programs?
As I said, we have
only on the website?
On our website currently, yes. It's the biggest platform. Again, we're encouraging people to get with the program digitally.
Well, but if I'm in Karamoja,